Welcome back to the Open Working Group. I'm your host, Andrea, and today we're exploring a powerful shift that's quietly redefining the future of global trade. The shift from corridors to convergence and the rise of federated trade ecosystems. Over the past few months, we have talked about digital corridors, trust frameworks, and governance models that are transforming how nations and institutions connect. But the next evolution isn't just about connecting, it's rather about converging. So now we enter in an era where interoperability happens without centralization, where independent systems, platforms, and even nations can cooperate without surrendering sovereignty, privacy, and control. That's the vision of federated digital trade ecosystems. And it's where the story of digital trust and global connectivity truly begins to converge. Let's begin with a bit of context. For years, digital trust trade has focused on connectivity, building digital corridors to link customs, logistics, and financial systems across borders. These corridors helped reduce friction, improve visibility, and modernize the flow of goods and data. And yet, connectivity alone has limits. When every system needs to integrate directly with another, scalability becomes a challenge. Data standards differ, legal frameworks vary, and privacy requirements collide. That's why the next stage of evolution isn't centralization, it's federation. In a federated model, each system, whether a trade finance platform, a national customs system, or a digital ID registry, retains autonomy. Yet, through shared trust protocols, they can recognize and verify each other's data. Think of it like a network of trusted peers. Each node is sovereign, connected through mutual recognition and verified data exchange. This is the essence of convergence, not merging everything into one platform, but enabling many platforms to operate as one trusted network. So, how does a federated trade ecosystem actually work? It rests on three technological pillars. First, verifiable credential, VCs. These are temp-proof digital credentials that prove a claim, such as a company's identity, license, or sustainability certification, without exposing unnecessary data. They do allow trust to flow across platforms while keeping control of data in the hands of the user. Second, blockchain and distributed ledgers. This system serves as shared sources of truth, not owned by any single party, but jointly verified by participants. They enable real-time validation of trade documents, payments, and certifications without the need for a central intermediary. Third, data trust frameworks. These frameworks define how data is shared, protected, and governed. They ensure that interoperability doesn't come at the cost of privacy compliance, setting the rules of the road for digital collaboration. Together, these three pillars enable what we call trust without centralization. In a federated model, a trade platform in Singapore can verify shipments of authenticity from Vietnam, for instance, or a customs agency in the EU can validate a digital certificate issued in Kenya without accessing the underlying databases. The system stock, the data stays sovereign. That's interoperability, the federated way. Now, technology is just one part of the story. The other, equally important, is governance. And I'll never get tired of stating that. A federated ecosystem requires a new kind of governance model, one that's shared, transparent, and consensus-based. Traditional governance assumes hierarchy, a single authority managing compliance or standards. Federated governance, on the other hand, It's about collaborative assurance. Let's unpack that. In a federated ecosystem, governments still set national regulations. International bodies like the ICC, WTO, the UN CFAT define interoperability standards. Private platforms manage the internal ecosystems, and data trust operators ensure that identity access and verification rules are consistently applied. But no single actor controls the network. Instead, trust is managed through mutual recognition frameworks where participants agree on verification principles, certification standards, and accountability mechanisms. This distributed governance allows systems to evolve independently, yet cooperate seamlessly. Aligning sovereignty with global trust is the architecture of the future, regulated autonomy. This shift toward federation isn't theoretical, it's already happening actually. Let's look at a few examples. First example, the EU's digital identity wallets under EIDAS 2.0. Each member state issues its own digital ID, but all are mutually recognized across the EU. This is digital sovereignty and interoperability working hand in hand. The Global Legal Entity Identifier, LEI. This system is a federated model of identity, multiple local operating units, issue and verify IDs all under a global standard. Blockchain Trade Network platforms and others pioneered federated approaches connecting independent systems through shared data standards and verifiable digital documentation. The DSI, Digital Standards Initiative, it's an ongoing work with global stakeholders that is creating bridges between private and public platforms, a federated infrastructure of trust, digital trade. So across all these examples, the principle is the same, exactly the same. Collaboration without consolidation first, then trust without surrendering control. That's what makes federation the natural next step in the evolution of digital trade. So, what is all this having? Good question. Let's try to answer. The end game is convergence, in my opinion. Not in the sense of everything becoming one system, but of systems aligning around shared principles, data models, and trust frameworks. In the future, in this future, digital corridors evolve into federated networks of networks. Each node, a customs authority, a bank, or a trade platform speaks its own language internally, but understands common grammar of trust externally. Convergence doesn't erase diversity, it translates it. And that's the magic. Interoperability without uniformity, cooperation without dependency. It's a world where data sovereignty, privacy, and innovation coexist, but each participant contributes to collective without losing individuality. This is the vision behind initiatives like Data Free Flow with across the FFT, creating a framework where trust enables openness and openness accelerates progress. So, to conclude, as we move from corridors to convergence, one truth becomes clear, or at least one alleged truth. The next frontier of trade isn't about building bigger platforms. It's about building smarter connection or smarter ecosystems. Federated trade ecosystems give us a blueprint for that future. One built on mutual recognition, digital trust, and shared accountability. It's the shift from connected systems to coordinating ecosystems, from integration to intelligence, from control to collaboration, and perhaps most importantly, from fragmented trade to trusted trade. So, this is the last episode in 2025. Hope you enjoyed this one. Uh, we're going to conclude the season with this episode, and we will be back in January 2026 after the Christmas holidays are over with renewed energy, with new topics and insights to be shared with you. So for today, thank you for joining me on the Open Working podcast. My warmest greetings for this season and see you in January 2025. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show on both Spotify and on Substack. And stay tuned for our next discussion, where I will probably discuss how data spaces are transitioning global cooperation and digital trust at scale, and many, many more insights for the future. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, stay digital. Goodbye, and Merry, Merry Christmas, everybody, and a Happy New Year.